Okay, so I think we are finally alive. Took me long enough to get things set up for this, but oops, let's get this lined up properly. Hopefully you can hear me properly. I think it's the right position for the mic. So, we've been at this for a little while now. Like I said, unfortunately, this took quite a bit longer than I would have liked it to get set up. I ended up having to update things. No, come on, move over here. So, where are we? What we're doing today is we're going to, come on, try and find some bugs in the Civilization 6 Lua API. Ooh, why is it doing that? I don't like that flickering. Hopefully that doesn't cause any major problems for us. But what we're going to be doing is the API that the more complex mods use to build interactions are all written in Lua. And if you remember back, I've been talking about this for months now, but I really, really like the Lua API because it lets you, or the Lua embedding to do things. I especially love it for CTF challenges. Hopefully it's becoming more popular. I'd love to see several challenges in the spring doing it, where the way that you interact with this, here, I'm going to turn on the sound here too, so both of us get to hear it. Why is that not, that's odd. There we go. Now we can all listen to the Civilization music as I, talk and everything. But what was I saying here? Lua. You're able to embed the Lua interpreter. It's a language that's somewhat JavaScript-y. It's similar, it's designed for quick scripts mostly to do specific things, but its huge benefit is it's really easy to say, here is a C function that I want to do a thing, but I want it to be controlled from this simple scripting interface. And it turns out a lot of games use it for add-ons and mods and things like that. So what we're going to be doing today is the first step of this. I know that the Civ 6 mod API uses Lua for complex stuff. In particular, I know that scenarios, which are like mini games. So if you're not familiar with Civilization, actually, why don't we do that real quick? If you're not familiar with Civilization, it is probably my favorite game, or at least one of my favorite games. What you're doing is you start out as a ruler. In this case, we are apparently Queen Victoria of the English Empire, and we try and take over the world. So the difference is, if you're using a scenario, instead of just generically take over the entire world, you're going to have a specific goal in mind, and it's going to be a little different. So, sure. Go away. We're going to actually go back to the main menu, because we're going to actually start a scenario. Actually, let's not do that. That's crazy talk. The scenarios are written in Lua, but that's actually all that I know about them. So one of the things I wanted to do here with this stream, that's hopefully going to be a series of hopefully only 2 or 3, because I have high hopes that this is going to be easy to find bugs in. But my goal here is, I don't actually know how their mod API works beyond the fact that it's Lua based and that the scenarios are written in it. And part of the reason I did that, I've intentionally not tried not to research this much beyond making sure that it's kind of a reasonable target, because one of the things that I feel gets lost so much when people are talking about reports about bug finding and here's this cool bug I found and how it works and how you land it, is there's a lot that goes into how do you even... So if we're going to fuzz this, how do we fuzz it? How do I get inputs into this system? Like, I know that it's running a Lua interpreter. How do I get stuff into that? Where in the code base is that? Is there an easier way than creating a game? I don't have answers for any of that right now. And that is a very crucial part of doing research and trying to find bugs. You have to be able to do, what's the attack surface I have here? I think it's Lua, but I don't even know where to shove that Lua in right now. And hopefully this stream is going to be a good introduction to people who maybe aren't as familiar with that, or just want to see how somebody else does it, to how do I figure out how to shove things into this? So, with all that said, I have done a little bit of research. And the extent of the research I've done, that's sad. If the Civ 6 is not the primary window, it's not going to play the music for me. So, the research I've done so far is that the scenarios include Lua. And what we have here, this is my... you can see I've installed Civ 6 from Steam because, like, I'm sure everyone else, I get all of my games from Steam. I have, as you can probably imagine, like I'm sure many of the people watching this, a Steam library that is largely populated by games I've never played. And then I have Civ 5, which I have over 1,000 hours in. Civ 6, which I think I'm up to 100 or 200. And then the other game that I play a ton is Stellaris, which is Paradox Games' 4X game in space. That terminology is a little foreign to people. The 4X games are explore, exploit, expand, exterminate. It's basically a genre that Civilization just dominated for years. Although in the past few years, a company called Paradox Interactive has kind of come to prominence for making really cool 4X games, Stellaris being my personal favorite. But with all of that said, we're in this directory, and the extent of my knowledge right now of how all this works is that the DLC has scenarios in it, and complex scenarios are written in Lua. In particular, right now, I've pulled up the Indonesia Khmer, I think it's how you pronounce that, DLC. I actually already have all the DLC because, like I said, I love me some Civilization. I have already picked up all the DLC for it because I am happy to help support these guys. So, we're gonna just take this real quick. So, the first thing is, I've got all these files. I kind of assume that if I just throw them into a text editor, at least some percentage of them are going to be world readable. Looks like we have some XML here. Is there anything useful here? So, talk about authors, which I don't care about. Something about leaders. What I'm really hoping for is that someplace in here, it's going to talk about the scenario that I can load. So there's different files. These are all... an INI is interesting. That's audio, though. I don't care about audio. XML stuff I don't think I care about, but the gameplay stuff I might. Different units, like I don't care about the unique buildings or features or anything. What I really want here is to figure out where do they put the Lua scripts in here. I'm actually not seeing anything like that. So they have files. This is like a manifest here. I'm looking at line 87 on. So config data, gameplay data. One of those two might be what I'm looking for. I don't care about those PNGs. The .dep. What's a .dep do? Hopefully this is also text readable. Oh, it is. Okay. I don't think I care about any of this. Sorry about that. So if I keep going down here, buildings and unit icon. Like, I don't care about the icons at all. The map files might be interesting, but oh yes, I can definitely zoom in a little bit. That looks much more readable for people. Yeah, I sometimes forget I have a nice 27-inch monitor here, so what I can read is not what everyone else is going to be able to read, especially after it gets compressed and pushed out. And looks like there's at least a few people watching this in like 360p or below video, so zooming in is definitely a good idea. So the audio stuff is interesting. Like, those look like a .b&k. I don't know off the top of my head what that is. But other than that, most of this doesn't look interesting. Let's take a look at this gameplay data. Maybe that's going to be more interesting. So, gameplay data. Okay. So, let's see here. They're setting up, I don't know what a row is, but they're setting up building, civilizations. I don't care about any of this. Don't care about traits. What I want here is I want to find where the scenario is. And none of this is telling me, like, none of this says scenario. Colors are interesting. It's interesting it's easy. Yeah, I'm getting pretty close to doing the grep for it. The only reason I didn't start with that is because, one, Lua may or may not be in some of the files. But... Ooh, I didn't realize this was in here. So, one of the things they introduced at some point was the ability to bias civilizations. So, the Indonesian ones are going to be biased towards the coast, whereas the Khmer are going to be towards the river. They have, favored religions. That's interesting. I assume at least part of this stuff is for the AI to do stuff. Yeah, none of this is jumping out at me as being particularly what I'm looking for. Like, the gameplay stuff is interesting. It looks like it's mostly like AI settings and things like that. What was the other one? Config data was the other one, right? None of... Oh, maps. Maps are interesting, but that's not what I want. Players. Hello, Ginvale. No goody huts. Is that what they actually call it internally? That's kind of funny. So what I'm looking for here is that, according to this, according to the DLC page here, the Khmer Indonesia DLC contains a scenario called... I don't know what it's called. So, why don't I know what it's called? Okay. You know, let's go to the one where I actually have a name for it. So, the Nubia one talks about where it is. But it looks like we had the same problem here. None of these look like... What's a BLP? Nope, that is data. I don't think any of these are what I want. Interesting. Okay. We're doing exactly that. So, our shell. Ooh, I hope this works. Slash Steam apps common Sid Meier's Civ 6. DLC is where I think it's going to be. So I suspect what we're looking for is here. There should be in here someplace Lua scripts. Ooh, that's interesting. Binary files matched. Audio matches. None of this looks like Lua scripts, though, right? Like, this looks like just random data. Very, very large random data, but random data. Oh, are we getting cut off here? We are getting cut off. So let's move this up here. Hopefully that gives us a little bit easier way to see things. Yeah, this is not useful. So where did you think you saw Lua? Okay, that's a Lua. What did I say this thing was called? I said the DLC was called Gifts of the Nile. Gifts of the Nile. Oh? Oh, crap. I really do need to learn the, like, back search stuff in Bash. It's one of the things that I've never bothered to learn properly because I always kind of just got away with not having to know it. Something I really do kind of wish I knew how to use better. Because there's a whole, like, what is it? Control A... escape, Control A... something. There's a series of hotkeys, you press them, and then you're able to, like, search. You're able to, like, do regex on your previous searches. But I do not remember how to use any of it, and every time I think it might be useful, it hasn't been useful enough for me to actually learn how to use it properly. Okay. Oh, ooh, okay. So in base assets, maybe that's where I need to be. We can at least take a look at this before we get too far. So base assets text. So Control R for backward search. Base assets text NUS Nubia package. And we want to get Sublime back here. Okay. Okay. So there's a description for the scenario. In this 125 turn scenario, you must expand your empire up and down the Nile River Valley, competing to become the people most blessed by the great god Amun. Build 7 temples to his glory and victory is yours. Okay, that doesn't actually tell me where this is, though. So there are SQL databases here, which are interesting. What are these? XML? Interesting. So it looks like the vast... So I don't think file will identify Lua scripts properly, because there's not necessarily going to be a header for it. Oh, look at here. There are scenarios right here. I just don't know what I'm doing, do I? So we have a mod info, which tells me there is an ancient rivals. There's two XML files, so maybe not actually what we want here. Yeah, these are not what we want, but this is useful. There we go. There we go. Okay. This is what I was looking for. So if we run the tutorial, it actually acts as a scenario. This will work for us. So if we want to find out what happens when this is loaded. The tutorial isn't perfect, though. Is there another one with... Actually, before I go too far. So these are all actually .lua files. Oh my. This is where we get to go, oh, I feel like I've been dumb this entire time. We just spent 15 minutes trying to find Lua files when it was easy as doing find star.lua. Trying to do things all clever-like, and turns out not necessary at all. So the Napoleon scenario has a start script, which I think is what we want to take a look at. Napoleon scenario. We want to take a look at this start script. So, this looks incredibly simple. They initialize it. We have a ballistics tech. What's actually going on here? Maybe I don't actually care what's going on here. What I care about is I want to find out when this is going to get loaded. So, we have this. I need to go, and we're going to use one of my favorite little tricks to figure out what on earth is going on. Which is, we're going to use, where do they, I want sysmon. Is it sysmon? It's not sysmon, is it? No, it's not sysmon. I want ProcMon. So ProcMon is one of the sysinternals tools. It's a actual Microsoft tool that does all sorts of crazy stuff for you. I'll just run it. I agree. Yes, run as root. Or I guess it's admin because I'm on Windows. We want to stop capturing. I want to filter this. So what this is doing, can I zoom this in for people? Oh, this did not do what I wanted to do at all. Okay, zooming this in, not quite as useful as I was thinking it was going to be. Yeah, this is not readable. Maybe. Oh my, this tool not. It's been designed for functionality, not for form. Okay, so I want to set up a filter here. And what I want to do is I want to filter it such that only the civilization process is getting shown. So, what is this actually called? It's a lot of processes, but I don't see it. So the bug reporter is 1, but it's not actually what I want. Oh, civ6. Here we go. Add. Okay. So we can see here, there's a whole bunch of these events that occur. What this is going to do is, as it captures stuff, every time we read a file, we open a file, we do anything like that, it's going to log it for us and let us know. So when we come back in here, I can go, okay. How do I... So I want the Napoleon one. What was the thing called? What was this thing called? Hello, Zero. No, really, what was this thing called? How do I start this? So if I came in here, cavalry and cannonades. No, it's definitely this one. So, oh. I guess I'm playing the tutorial. Okay. Making his first upright steps. You have come far. Okay. Don't care about any of this. What I care about is in here. So, stop capturing. And so we opened the Lua stuff, and if I come in here, scenarios, tutorial. When did this get opened? So we opened the config.xml, which I would expect. Next. Tutorial technologies. I don't think I care about that. What is this thing called? It's called scenario-base.lua. Which is this right here, right? So the reason we're doing this is because this tells me when we were actually opening the file. So what happened here? So this is a stack trace when it called the why am I blanking on words here? We actually opened the Lua script, but this doesn't look right at all, does it? We opened it as part of okay. That's a little odd to me. So we read it as part of, we get movie event. I don't think we care about movie event stuff. Get debug helper. Why are we? This is not doing as much as I was hoping it would. Let's find the next one. That's the map file. I definitely don't care about the map file. Actually, can I just do a... what is this file? So copy that, come in here. Huh. So test.lua is, Okay. Well, this is interesting. Tutorial UI root, loading bank of items for Tenor. Where were we here? So All I want to find here is I want to find out where are they actually loading Lua scripts. Because ideally what we're going to find here is someplace in here they are loading these, and hopefully they're just taking this tutorial.lua and passing it to some function which is evaluating it. My hope, at least, is that it's that simple. But it appears it is not that simple. Shift to Lua. And yeah, I've intended for a little while to do the Lua stuff. And I felt like starting it now was as good of a time as any. Although this is just confusing. We have this, whatever Forge UI control base cast is. None of these are that helpful. But what else can we do? Like these. Okay, we actually call read file here. Maybe that's what I want to do. So we call read file as part. See, I really don't understand this here. We're calling git debug helper for DLL, and that calling a Lua script doesn't make sense to me. So let's find out why. Where is... what? That's interesting. Apparently I don't have... apparently I don't have any sort of, disassembler set up right now. That's awkward. So I'm going to disappear for a minute here so that I can actually log into my email and get my Binary Ninja set up. I will be back in, let's say, 5 minutes. I'll be right back, guys. Bye. Doop. And that's where everything just broke as I switched things around. We're going to, we're gonna just drop this in real quick, and now I'll actually be right back. Okay, and we're back. Maybe. I'm back. Hopefully the stream's back. This looks good to me. So, now I should be able to load this up. Wait, what? Why would I prefer Binary Ninja over IDA? I mean, I prefer it because the API for it is quite a bit easier to use than the, like, IDA Python is completely awful. Not something I ever want to work with. Whereas, at least most of the time, Binary Ninja is kind of sane about things. And it's quite quickly becoming much more useful than... Where am I going here? Sorry, I'm setting it up still. Quite a bit more efficient for me to use than IDA is. I mean, at this point, I don't think I've used IDA for real in close to a year or so. Mainly because I don't have a lot of really good reasons to use it. And most of the times when I might want to use it, the Binary Ninja stuff is much better. Yes, of course I got the headless version. For a couple of different reasons. One of which is as simple as the guys who make it are doing quite a good job at making it. The more I can do to help them continue to make good things for Binary Ninja, like once the UI improvements come out in whenever 1.2 comes around, I personally am super excited to get I'm blanking on the word here. Enterprise version. So supposedly there's an enterprise version that is someplace in the future which will have proper collaboration tools. And that is quite possibly the best feature ever for reversing. If they manage to solve the problem of how do me and the guy sitting next to me and the person beside them and the person beside them and the person beside them all reverse the same executable and be able to share things properly, it is worth like just throwing money at them. But that's still quite a ways off. Hopefully we will eventually get there. We'll see how long it takes. So, where are we? We are hopefully not taking too long to analyze this binary. I realize now, if I was thinking ahead, I would have totally gone through and preloaded this. That way I had it ready to go when the stream starts. But, you know, thinking ahead, not always what I am doing. That's not... I thought I could filter here. So we have some stuff. Oh, actually I scrolled right past it. So we do have some Lua stuff here. We definitely have Lua stuff. I want... No, trying to do proper teamwork is very difficult. There's a reason why I'm aware of 4 different real attempts to write like team-based reversing for IDA. There's Collaborate, something like that, which is old. There's I think IDA Toolbag had something for it. There was some other plugin to do it. I'm aware of an internal one that somebody worked on, and all of them have huge problems because IDA doesn't have a good way to say, take this set of actions, like record the actions I take and run them on somebody else's IDB. So at the very least, what you're doing is your plugin has to map all the changes being done and transmit them to somebody else, that's a really hard problem. Like, not even counting the deconfliction part of it. Like, I named this Func ABC and you named it Func DEF. Which one should we call it? But I'm off on a tangent here. Collaboration for RE is hard, at least that's what they tell me. And as far as I've seen, nobody does it well. If they manage to do it well, I will be very happy to do whatever I can to help them get there. So we have these. I really don't like the fact that... So HKSI, they looks like they wrapped a whole bunch of stuff. But I also don't have cross-references for a lot of this stuff. Okay, we're actually getting sidetracked here, though. I wanted to go to this address. This. Okay, apparently I can't copy and paste that part. 140A2DB7F. We called kernel read file. That looks reasonable. Oh, am I really using... Right, I just installed this. Preferences. Give me... which of these do I want? I think this is the one I want. That looks reasonable. Of course, now we have to wait for this to update too again. We're gonna get there. So, but let's see here. What else are we doing here? We're reading a file. If we have it, can I? Oh, is this really just in the start? No, it is not just in the start. So we have all this. We're here. We call this read file. None of this is useful to me. We called read file. We can potentially get an error. If we get an error, we'll bail out. We come over here. This doesn't look useful. So let's go back over and look at this part. So we have these functions that accept Lua states. That's useful to know about. Equal, I really want to do, there's, what is it, Lua run, Lua, oh, solidarity, that's what I was thinking about. That was the other recent one. Yeah, it seems like every 2-ish years somebody writes like they put a lot of work into writing a good way to do collaboration in IDA, and 2 years later somebody writes a good way to do collaboration in IDA because the one that was written 2 years ago either no longer works, it never worked, didn't do the thing they wanted, or whatever reason, somebody rewrites it every 2 years, and it's just the way the world works now. Which is really kind of silly if you think about it. Because why would you need to do that? Like, I would like it to be a thing that just works. But that's me being a little overly idealistic, I think. Come on, let's install here. So it looks like, for whatever reason, that might actually be some, like, the symbol might not be that far off. 140, where were we? Come on. Let's shrink down so I can actually read this stuff. 140 A2DB7F. And I want to be able to actually read this, so we call read file. None of this looks too bad. We create file, we try and read from it. We're going to call this with rx4, which is var38. Passed in. Where is var38? So it's some memory area. That's some sort of a struct. Are you going to do anything useful? Oh, you're quite large, aren't you? This function is interesting. Lots of nothing. That was uninteresting, and this doesn't seem to do anything useful either. Where do you get called? You get called here. Malloking stuff, which I don't think I care about. Okay, what else do we have here? So let's do that. So if I filter this, I want operation is read file. Yes, edit. So we read it twice. Once from that HKS set strip. Oh, here we go. Lua API call. That is what I want. And this is being run in Havoc script 2013 2.0 Win64 final release. Okay, this is what I want, because the Havoc Lua API call is almost certainly what I actually want to see going on. And this is actually in a DLL, right? Yeah, so let's go load that DLL up. Open this thing. So I think oh yeah, look at all that Lua stuff. This is what I wanted. This is definitely what I wanted. I think Havoc script is actually something at least somewhat generic. Hopefully there's no crazy bugs in this, because that'd be kind of awkward being like, oh look, here's a bug that exists in everything that uses a Lua API. Not everything, but all the games. Before I get too far here, let's take a look. So this is going to call like set researching tech. So which of these am I on? I'm on this one, right? Yeah. So if I do grep rn this game core base final release uses it. So what I'm doing here is, in order for this thing to exist, the player tech's set researching tech, it means that they had to set up a function. It's actually a class. So this syntax means that player text is a table, I think they call it in Lua, and that this is a method that they've set up on it that you're able to call. I don't remember the exact terminology properly. I did a stream a while back after, I can't remember the CTF off the top of my head. There was a CTF a while back where I had inadvertently contributed a challenge to. I had written a challenge. I didn't realize it was getting used in that CTF, but it ended up getting fielded in that CTF. So after the fact, I went through and I talked about it and went through how it was set up. And it does I had to set up this type of stuff. Let's actually load this thing up real quick and see what's going on. It's calling game core base final release. Uses it someplace, and this should tell us a little bit about how this uses a lot of Lua stuff too, doesn't it? So this, they don't have references for. Interesting. I do love the fact that all of these are not position independent, as far as I can tell, which is kind of hilarious to me. Like, not even going to try to make it position independent. We're just going for it, right? Why isn't this actually getting referenced anywhere? I would expect to have some references to it. That's not good. But we're not actually seeing it anywhere else. Okay. Well, where are we here? So we're calling from here. We call, let me actually think back around here. So HKSI Lua API call, what is that doing? Actually, we can just use this, can't we? Go to a B55, oops. Go to a B554A. Can I not math? Oh, is this one actually getting based differently? That's interesting. So we want HKSI Lua P call. And give me a graph and give me the IR. No, let's do assembly so I can actually look at things properly. Come on. Go back to this. And I want to show address. It's interesting that these addresses don't line up at all, but okay. So at some point you call something that so you don't have a symbol for it, but they have a symbol for it. Good night, Zizo. I think I've been saying that wrong in my head all along. But yeah, this is not doing what I think it was doing. So Lua plus Lua state do file. Sounds like probably what we want to do. This, it doesn't look like it's getting called anywhere. How do I do that? Okay, this is hopefully a little bit easier to read. So we are calling this load file, which is kind of what I expect to see happen. But it doesn't tell me as much as I'd like it to tell me. Like, this isn't telling me anywhere near as much about what is actually going on with the Lua state as I was hoping it would. Because I don't actually have the Lua state here to see what they've set up. Lua state. What do we have here that might be interesting? So we've got pretty common stuff. Dump is interesting. Dump is maybe not interesting at all. I can't read this. What is this actually doing? So they get the state. Well, this is unfortunate. I was really hopeful that this would be kind of straightforward here, that they'd have like a setup Lua area, but it would appear not quite as easy as I was expecting it to be. So they're going to eventually call Lua's set field. And Lua's set field, okay, Lua's set field is going to let them actually set up something. If they don't do this, then create table, yes. Sorry, I am not talking out loud as much as I would like to be. So what I'm looking for here is at some point they're going to be doing things so that they actually set up the state. And if we can figure out where they're doing that, it'll actually tell me all the functions I can call, and I can actually like sit here and reverse a couple of them and make sure I'm looking at the right stuff. But as far as I can tell, I can't actually do that. Am I lucky enough that they just left symbols in for this? Not here. Not here. And did you find anything else? You did not find anything else. This is the only place it's getting used. Huh. I'm actually a little bit stumped here. Like, it's not doing what I would expect it to do, because I'd kind of expect it to be convenient for me. Guess that shows me I know less about how games are actually written than I thought they were. Because they are not setting this up the same way that I would set this up, which, you know, I can't complain about too much. Like, expecting them to actually set things up the way that I would set them up, it's a little unfair for me to do. So this is not directly called. This is also not directly called. I'm lucky enough that there's like a register all functions or something. Maybe that's what I should be looking for. Oh geez, of course this is huge. Object set. Ooh, and you are getting called. So set metatable is getting called from here, which is not getting. One of the things I know that I'm running into here, which is kind of annoying, is this is probably getting, like, this is almost certainly getting called. It's getting called as part of a vtable though, and trying to actually figure out where this is all getting set up is actually a fair amount more reversing than I was hoping to have to do just to get started. What does the internet have to say about this? So this is, so I'm looking up this DLL, which has a bunch of the stuff for, that's not what I wanted. Come on. Oh good, sketchy PDF on the internet. So JavaScript is the smallest, fastest Lua-compatible virtual machine designed for console game development. It ships with tools, including an integrated environment, blah, 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 complete Lua compatibility, drop-in replacement for Lua's VM for easy integration into your game engine. I don't care about basically any of this. Tell me how it works. Bungie games. Don't care about this at all. There's a talk on it. That might be interesting. I might watch this. Oh, these are slides, aren't they? That's more useful. Yeah, I'm unfortunately looking at the wrong layer of things, which is not what I want at all. Scripting language, interpreted machine. This is fine. Don't care, don't care. Don't care. Lua was used in Grim Fandango in 1998. That is fascinating. Don't care. Don't care. Come on. Oh, that was interesting, but not super useful. Oh, look at this. There are no... Interesting. So this is some group of Civ mod writers who've done at least part of this work for me before. Okay, this did not get me where I wanted to be. But it does tell me that Lua API call is getting used here. So the world anchor control here is actually doing something here. So if we go to this address, come on, move over so I can actually read it. Which one did I want here? I wanted this one. So in here, 140803 EAA. EAA. They don't think this is a function. World to screen. Great. 40803A. Yeah, that's definitely a return there. In fact, that wasn't even close. Like, what are you doing? 1408 03 EAA. Like, we're not even close to a function here. Well, clearly we're in a function here. What do I want to do? I want to create function here. EAA. Oh, I missed a function. Create a function here. So give me a graph of this. I need to make this font a little bit smaller, I think. Because while this may be readable for people, I can't move around as much as I need to. Key sent to. That's an interesting error message. Invalid key. Key sent to it belongs to a different Lua state. Okay, that's interesting. Whereas this one is invalid key sent to set field. Nil key. This might be doing some of the real work. Yeah, that's setting up a meta table. It sets a field in a meta table. And unfortunately, you aren't getting called here at all. You're getting called in here. You know, what I was really hoping for here was that I would take a look at this, I'd poke around a little bit, and I would come out and have here is an easy way to, without having to go through all these steps, run a Lua script. And unfortunately, it looks more complicated than that, and that is unfortunate. If I can identify the state, though, so if I break in here, presumably this, like if I break in at the call to Lua API call, right? Where were we? Oops. I go forward. The opposite of escape. I don't know how to go the opposite of escape, but 140 803 EA. It calls this, which apparently eventually falls through to this Lua API call. Which means that we should be able to break here and get what we want. Which also means that if we break here, we should be able to jam whatever we want in there as a script to run, and I would think do what I actually want it to do. Right? Now, here's the hard question. How am I actually going to do that? Oh. Actually, it's more complicated than that. I don't even have a debugger installed here, apparently, which is quite unfortunate. Looks like running into yet another limitation because I set up this computer and then streamed from it a few times, and then immediately went on break and never got it finished set up. No, R2 is not required for actually pretty much anything. There are plenty of people who like using Redare, but while Redare is a good tool for certain things, it is not something that I would call required at all. There are plenty of people who know how to use it quite well. By plenty, I mean a small handful. But it's not something that I would personally recommend trying to learn unless you really want to do development on it. Like, if you want to do development on a disassembler, learn rod array, go help out with development on it, and that's awesome. But if all you want is a usable like reversing tool, Redair might not be the most useful thing to you. But that is my personal opinion, and like I said, there are plenty of people that disagree with me on that. Most of them are people who are developers for the Redair. But it is not something I would consider required. So, I see. One thing that might work. No, I still need to pass in a state here. What I was really hoping I'd be able to find here, hopefully relatively quickly, was a good way to say, here's a string, just execute it, and not have to worry about anything. And none of the things I'm looking at here give me that. There are plenty of places where I can get a pointer for it and be able to do it later, but none of them do actually what I really want it to do. I think we're not actually going to be able to get very far here without loading this up in a debugger and starting to poke at it. We definitely found out more about how things are being done internally than I knew before. It's really unfortunate that it's not more straightforward. Like, I'm really not happy with the fact that this, so I have a set researching tech. Why, like, I would expect this right here or this right here. Like, these are aligned strings. They're not aligned. They're aligned strings, not... I'm blanking the word here. Like, I would expect to be string function pointer or function pointer string in an array like this, not set up this way, which is unfortunate. Although, this is probably a list of all the functions that are set up, which is interesting. These are probably all things that I can call from Lua. And it might be worth trying to set some of these up and test them a little bit. Those look like pointers. Those are definitely pointers. That's SQL. So that's something else that I found while I was doing a little bit of research, is that the two options that you can use are Lua or SQL to do mods. You know what? Before I go too far, what do I want to do here? So if I come in here, and if I go into space, binaries, scenario, Win64, Steam, I should have the DLL here. And if I do strings, I wanted the game core grep for, actually, grep-rn strings them grep for so what I'm doing here is I want to find all the places they're using SQLite. Well, some of the SQL commands for their SQLite databases, because I'm kind of curious to see what they actually have in here. Maybe I'm super lucky and there's like SQL injection we can just poke at real quick and be done. Like, who knows, maybe putting a single quote in your city name is going to cause SQL injection and everything breaks around you. It seems somewhat unlikely, because I'm sure somebody would have noticed that. But, we'll see. So that is giving me all of the strings that include select, which would be all of my stuff. Found a city. I'm not playing this tutorial anymore. No. 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 Main menu. Single player, create game. I'm not the best at this game, so no deity for me.
Beneath water, to the great beasts of the Stone Age, to man taking his first
step right steps. You have come far. Now begins your greatest quest. From this early cradle of civilization onto the stars. Okay, so we're in Civ 6, which means we're going to have to deal with districts now. I'm not planning on spending the rest of this time doing this. I'm waiting for that to run. For people who aren't that interested in gameplay videos. What is this? So this is Tundra? Our explorers have spotted an tribal village. So if I come this way, I'm going to end up eventually running, like, having less space because I'm going to be so close to the coast. Yeah, let's just do it here. Monument because I'm a bad player. So I have sheep. I have gypsum. Let's do husbandry. Please wait. Please wait. I have to say, they do have a very good soundtrack for this game. I'm super happy with it. It's definitely one that I enjoy quite a bit. Ooh, I got a builder already. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever gotten that before. So we're going to put you to sleep until husbandry finishes. And I expand a little bit. Ooh, who are you? Norway. That's exciting. Doo-doo-doo. Harald Sigurðarson stendur fyrir þér. Aldrei var víking slík lands né lagar. Ertu hræddur? Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Actually, let's say we come down this way. So I'm not going to be able to expand up that way very much, because apparently I'm right next to Norway. So I want to go this way. This is probably a little peninsula, probably. I'm probably going to eventually come over this way. I got my gypsum.
If there are no dogs in heaven.
So let's grab me some mining and take care of that real quick. Let's make us some scoots. We can go scoot out some things. Yeah, that is totally just a peninsula. It's just like Florida.
Enacting new policy.
At his best.
Let's take some production.
Reconnaissance.
Because, again, bad at the game. We're just going to automate exploration here. This is a Christmas song, right?
Our city continues to.
Oh, come.
It would seem we have finally tracked the barbarian raiders.
Ooh, we have barbarians right there. That is unfortunate. But I want you to make that. We need production here, so I want some more warriors.
It is best to use caution.
No somos Felipe, rey de España y Portugal. Empero, por encima de todo, somos fieles devotos de la única y verdadera.
Apparently, I have met all of the people nearby, which is going to be awkward, I think. It is an honor to meet you. Sure. Enjoy the churros. Your delegation is most welcome.
Who deserves more credit than the one?
You're going to heal up. We're going to science. Let's start on this, because we're about to build a quarry, right? Yeah. I'm really surprised at how long this strings is taking. Like, I was expecting to get maybe a couple turns into this. But it would definitely appear that I did not do a good job of estimating time. Oh, no, no, no! Ah! I'm gonna build a settler? That seems a little over the top. I probably would put a settler here. I guess I'll clear you out by then. Run away! So, Scout is next to Barbarians. Now, unfortunately, I am very bad at most video games. I definitely enjoy playing the Civilization, but as you can probably tell, not that good at it. I am not one of those people who can be like, oh yes, watch me play, like the deity level play and just be perfect and awesome. That is not me at all. There are some good, very, very good players that I would recommend doing that with. They are not me. But if we can get around to it, once this finishes, we are totally done playing this game for now. x64 debug is pretty decent. I don't actually know what x64 debug is. Is it a replacement for, like, Ollie? I mean, realistically, what I want to be using is WinDebug. Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Norway, what you doing? What are you doing, Mr. Norway? Come on, Norway. This is not cool.
There are several different types of...
Oh, you are attacking the barbarians beside me.
We have the opportunity to develop...
That's the positive aspect.
Don't think I care about any of this stuff right now. I actually don't know. Right now I have no wind debug set up right now, and I need to get around to that. But unfortunately that's going to take a little bit longer than I have right now. Like I didn't want to spend quite a while doing nothing useful in terms of the actual like finding bugs stuff, but apparently that's what I'm doing today. Build me a farm. Yeah, like I'd expected it to be a 5 to 10 minute thing. Like I was planning on getting this, looking at this, and seeing where we stood pretty quickly, but turns out that is not the case at all. Where was I going here? Steam, apps, common. It turns out, it looks like this select statement is quite the large. Whoa, what? What are you doing? No, no, no. How is this 28 gigs already? How is that 27 gigs of data? What? Oh, it's son of a... It found one, and then it's like going doop, 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 and it's just spitting everything out because it got to out, and it's seeing all the selects that we already found. Look at me being a moron. Okay. Whoops. That is definitely unfortunate. Okay, let's try this again. Except instead of doing it that way, we're going to do up a level. See, that is what I expected to have happen. Not this, you know, hours-long thing. Ooh. Select type, highlight. I do like the %s here without quotes. That's pretty exciting. In fact, if they're actually doing interpolation too, like %s into this is kind of what I want to see. I did dash. Oh, I did. Go up a level. There we go. Can I easily just do a grip of this? It is an out. And it is in the exe itself. And you are used nowhere you can tell me. That's unfortunate. Well, this isn't doing what I wanted it to do at all. And I think I'm kind of getting off on a tangent now. Because... Yeah, I think I'm definitely getting off on a tangent. That is not what I was intending to do. That's interesting. This is their build strings that got loaded in there. For people who are curious, if you are concerned about being secure about things, never build something on your general dev machine unless you are okay with all sorts of stuff getting jammed into that binary. Because they put, like, it's very common for you to end up with, oh, here's your username, here's pass all over your system. Well, those usually aren't that big of a deal. Like, sometimes they are, and it is definitely something to avoid. But... Yeah, none of this is really jumping out at me as being really big, something we need to do. So I think at this point, this is probably going to be about the point to call it an evening. What I need to do is I need to get WinDebug set up. Once that's set up, I can actually do some more dynamic stuff and actually poke at it and see what's going on. Because what I want to do is I want to go into some of those places where the p-call is being made, and I want to break in there. Ideally, what I want to do is like create a good way to harness it at that point, so I can run a script and then rerun run a new script, run a 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 script until I get a crash. Because that'll be something I can actually fuzz. Hopefully, while I'm at it, I can poke around and see all of the Lua state. I think next stream we're definitely going to have to probably write a simple, probably look through the Lua state to start with and see what on earth does a Lua state look like? Because it's got to have all of the state variables. Like, it should have a table with all of the... functions that I can call registered in it, because if it doesn't, if that isn't passed in as part of it, then I can't call it. And that's something that I'd hoped would be pretty easy to see, that there'd just be like, here is the table that maps all of these function names to C functions. But that actually wasn't as easy. Like, they did not do it that way. However, if we load up in a debugger, I'll be able to say, well, here are the mappings in memory. You can't fake this. You could fake it, but it's still going to do the same thing. But that's going to involve getting WinDebug set up properly and getting the environment configured right for that, and then trying to get in here and do things. And I've already wasted more time than I'd like to. We started late because I was installing stuff. We eventually got started. We've been at this for an hour and a half now, of which a chunk of it was me playing Civilization because I was waiting for stupid things to run. Like, in general, gonna call it, I guess, a little bit early evening. It's been about an hour and a half though, so it's not too quick. And next week we're gonna come back and load this up in a debugger. Hopefully they're not doing anything too gross in terms of anti-debugging stuff. One thing that I haven't talked about yet, and that I'm at least a little bit concerned about, is that once we start doing things, some of the anti-cheat stuff is going to bite us hard. I personally have no idea what kind of anti-cheat stuff Civ 6 is doing. It's quite possible that they're doing none at all, that they basically assume, it's not a serious multiplayer game. You're probably not cheating that much. But I don't know. And it's something we might run into and have to mess with a little bit. But that is for future me to worry about. Current me, I think, is going to wrap things up here, go get some dinner. Yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Unfortunately, things started off a little bit later than I would like. Next week is going to be hopefully starting on time as opposed to 45 minutes late. And the plan is going to be to keep up where we are now. Hopefully have a debugger up and running, grab things and take a look at it. And if everything works out right, really dive into this and get a good idea of where we stand. Other than that, things that are coming up in the near future, usually I like to talk about upcoming CTFs, but unfortunately there aren't any upcoming CTFs. There's some small stuff going on. The only of the larger CTFs that are coming up in the near future are Codegate at the beginning of February. And I think a lot of the reason why they haven't been announced yet is because the call for organizers for DEF CON CTF just closed on Monday. And I suspect a number of different groups proposed that they would organize things and take over for the legit BS guys. And they're waiting until the response to that occurs because they don't want to run two CTFs. I talked about this on Twitter a little bit. I think last year there were 3 or 4 big CTFs that had already been announced by this time of the year. And I think we'll see over the next, whenever the call for proposals is finalized and they've announced who is going to organize DEF CON CTF, I suspect we'll see a wave of big CTFs announced right away. Hopefully some of the bigger ones will get announced, because I'm definitely looking forward to this season. Other than that, for people who are interested, the ShmooCon conference is coming up in 2 weeks, I think. I think it's 2 weeks from this Friday. So 16 days, that sounds right. 19th sounds right. And for people who are interested, I will be going to that. I managed to get a ticket, and I live close enough to make that trip. If other people are going to be there, probably the easiest thing to do is hit me up on Twitter, let me know, and I'm happy to meet up with people if they want to do something. So, with that said, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll try and get started a little bit earlier next time. That or maybe move the expected start time back. I'm not sure which of those is going to happen yet. But like I said, thanks for tuning in this week, and I will see you all later. Bye.